all these doubts, if there's room for doubt in your life, you've got to be ready to stand and say, no, God heard me. God's a God of His Word. God said it. God promised it. It's done. I have it. It's mine. It's already accomplished. And until you're ready to do that, you're not ready to believe you receive when you pray, and the prayer process breaks down. Let me give you some more. Number one, you've got to believe God heard you when you prayed. I quoted this in the last session, 1 Peter 3:12. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and His ears are open to their prayers. That ought to settle that question right away. Then Psalm 139:1. Does God hear me when I pray? Yes. Listen to this psalm. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You understand my thought afar off. You comprehend my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. There is not a word on my tongue, but behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. Now, that's not just poetry, folks. That's not just a history book that applies to the psalmist. This is God's Word, and it applies to you. He's saying there's not a word on your tongue that God doesn't know altogether. So, I mean, if God knows all the words you speak, you think He's going to stop listening when you pray and just tune you out? Oh, they're praying. I don't want to hear that. Of course not. He knows your thoughts. Like I said in the last show, it can get really personal here. He knows what you're doing. He knows what you're saying before you say it, and He knows what you think. He knows all about you. He certainly knows your prayers. Psalm 139:4 in the New Living Translation says, you know what I'm going to say even before I say it, Lord. So what does that mean? Should I not pray it? No. Jesus said 4 times in the book of John, ask me, ask the Father, ask me, what do you want? What do you want me to do? I'll do it. Just ask. So He knows what we need before we ask. He knows what we're going to say before we say it, but we still have to ask. Because God's not going to just put His blessings on you. He's not going to force His will on your life. He moves by invitation only. So, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because He doesn't allow the enemy to do that either. The enemy can't do anything to you that you don't let him do, allow him to do. And once you decide, I'm going to resist and I'm going to choose God and I'm going to give no place to the devil, guess what? He has to leave. So all of this is really up to us. And too many people say yes to the devil's offers, and they don't say anything to God, as if, why doesn't He get me out of this mess? Well, you didn't ask. Why doesn't He give me an answer? You didn't ask. Why doesn't God do something in my finances? Did you ask? Did you pray the prayer of faith? Because God's not just going to do it because you need it. So the Passion Translation says, this is Psalm 139, you perceive every movement of my heart and soul. You understand my every thought before it even enters my mind. And that's almost scary, isn't it? God knows. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're saying, if God knows all that, does He even still love me? How can God love me if He knows the thoughts I think? Because the love of God is indescribable, incomprehensible, and yes, He knows your thoughts and loves you anyway. Isn't that powerful? God knows more about you than you know about yourself. And He still loves you. That's the mystery of the ages to me. I don't understand that. I ask why. I can't really give you an answer to the why, but I know He loves you, and I know He loves you unconditionally, and He knows your thoughts. You know, if you think, well, I'm going to try to present my best side, God knows all sides before you do that. He knows all about you. So it says, you perceive every movement of my heart and soul, and you understand my thought, my every thought before it even enters my mind.